The number of Americans who say they want to leave the United States has been steadily increasing over the past 50 years, but I don't think anyone was ready for what happened the week after the 2024 election. And I'm not talking about who won the election. I'm talking about the record-breaking numbers of Americans who were searching online for how to leave the country. Now, this happens every election cycle, but this year was different simply due to the sheer volume and quantity of people searching for different things. This isn't just some fad or trend. This is a sign of underlying societal shifts in the psyche of the American public, where people are genuinely planning to move to different countries for a lot of different reasons, but also motivated by political reasons. So in this video, I want to share with you the top 10 countries that US citizens want to move to right now and how you can do it too. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Kristen Wilson. I've been helping people move abroad since 2005, and if you'd like more information on how I can help you, contact me at travelingwithkristen.com/relocation. So let's jump right into it. The number one country that Americans are searching for is New Zealand, with a whopping 7,600% increase in searches for how to move to New Zealand. Now, it's no surprise that this country is at the top of the list. New Zealand is an English-speaking country. It has a lot of freedoms, the same that US citizens are used to, and it's also beautiful and not densely populated. You've got very expansive scenic landscapes and nature, surrounded by water, lots of different water sports, beautiful views of the ocean, and it's a place where the citizens and residents who live there are generally happy. One of the things I've noticed this week with hundreds of people contacting me through my website is that people are just looking for a place where they can be safe and happy and just enjoy their lives without a lot of drama. New Zealand is certainly a safe place to go. It consistently ranks at the top of the Global Peace Index for the safest countries, most peaceful countries in the world. So it sounds like that is one of the things that people are looking for. If you're looking to move to New Zealand, one of the more popular ways to go, especially as a young person, is with the working holiday visa. This is something that a lot of countries offer, Australia as well. So if you're between the ages of 18 and 30, this could be a pretty straightforward way to be able to live in New Zealand for a year or more. In second place was Germany, with a 4,200% increase in searches. Germany is a place that I featured in another video about places to move after the election. New Zealand was in there as well, and the reason I selected Germany was because it is also a generally safe, stable, well-developed country that has a very good social safety net and also a lot of different paths for people looking to move there, especially if you have job skills, if you're a freelancer, or if you work remotely. Something that was interesting in this scenario is that a lot of people were searching for this German Opportunity Card, which is a way to live in Germany for up to a year while you're searching for a job. But if you work online or work for yourself, you could also apply for the German freelancer visa. It's not technically a digital nomad visa, but that one is available and you don't have to earn too much money to be able to get it. And another reason that people want to move to Germany is because of the developed transport networks. It's a great base if you want to live in Europe and be able to travel to other European countries. The language barrier, it depends on where you're living. There's definitely a lot of people who speak English in the bigger cities such as Berlin, Munich, and Frankfurt, but it could be a bit different if you're living in a smaller town or village. But you have a lot of really interesting places to choose from. Hamburg is a beautiful city, Cologne is a nice city, and it's also a strong economy where you could either work remotely or you could work there in person and earn a pretty good wage. In third place was the Netherlands, with a more than 3,000% increase in interest to move here. I had a lot of people ask me about moving to the Netherlands this week, and Although it's known for having cloudy, cold, and rainy weather, what a lot of people were expressing to me is that they don't mind. They just want to live somewhere that is stable and safe and has really progressive social policies, and the Netherlands is definitely a place that fits that. It's also a country with a very international community depending on where you're living, especially places like Rotterdam, Amsterdam, and The Hague, Utrecht, really a lot of different cities throughout the Netherlands that have multinational companies that bring in workers from around the world and also provide job opportunities to local people. The Netherlands is one of those countries where everything works most of the time, although I did get stranded on the train a couple weeks ago and had to be evacuated at 1 in the morning, but usually everything works just fine. And if you're an avid cyclist, you can also ride your bike around, you can bring your kids, there's lots of custom bikes, so it's fun to see all the different ways that people get around. There's one really interesting residency option in particular for US citizens through the Dutch-American Friendship Treaty. So if you are a freelancer, work for yourself, or you're thinking of starting a business in the Netherlands, they don't have a technical retirement visa or digital nomad visa, but in these other categories, that will work for a lot of people. In fourth place, we have Ireland with a 2,400% increase in searches to move here. One of the most popular reasons is that many people have Irish ancestry, myself included. So the Irish diaspora is very large around the world, and if you do have a direct line to your parent, grandparent, or even your great-grandparent, there could be potential to get Irish citizenship by descent. A lot of people are also interested in going to Ireland because it's an English-speaking country, it's also very safe, well-developed, and it's another one of those places where, you know, once you're outside of Dublin, you have a lot of different smaller and medium-sized towns, you have the countryside, it's a very family-friendly destination, and it's also a non-Schengen country that is close to Europe and the UK. On the downside, the housing prices are very high in Ireland, especially in the bigger cities like Dublin. Sometimes people commute to get to work from hours away, so that's certainly something to keep in mind. Ireland doesn't currently have a digital nomad or retirement visa specifically, but if it's a place that you really want to go, then don't rule it out just yet. In fifth place, Japan saw more than a 1,500% increase in searches. I was a little bit surprised to see Japan this high up on the list because it's definitely not an English-speaking country, but it seems that people were really interested in moving there simply for the cultural appeal. Japan has such a unique and beautiful culture, and there is such diversity in the types of places that you can live, whether you're up on the northern island of Hokkaido or in the city of Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, all of the tiny towns and villages throughout Japan where they really need to grow their population, and I'm sure they would be happy to receive foreigners, digital nomads who can stay there and boost the economy a bit. And then down in the south through Okinawa and Hiroshima, you have a warmer climate down in the islands as well, so you can get that tropical climate. And they do have some new options to live there, which has been quite a difference from the past because Japan is known for being a country that can be kind of closed societally, and it can be harder to immigrate there than other places. But in the last year, Japan launched a digital nomad visa that gives you 6 months to stay there. That's twice as long as you would get to stay there on a US passport, and a lot of people go there to be able to teach English. So if you have teaching skills or you're interested in helping others learn English, there are a lot of different programs there that you can find online. These jobs can also pay pretty well as well. A country I wasn't surprised to see on this list is Portugal, with more than 1,000% increase in interest in moving there. Portugal has been at the top of many best places to live abroad lists for over a decade now, and there are at least 10 or 15,000 US citizens already living there full time, although there may be many more staying there as slow travelers and digital nomads. One of the reasons why Portugal became a popular place for US citizens was through the real estate portion of its golden visa, which has since been discontinued, as well as the NHR tax regime, which has been changed and is less appealing than it was before. But people still love Portugal for having one of the lowest costs of living in Western Europe. It's also a very beautiful place with nice weather year-round, doesn't get as cold as other places in Europe, and just has a really nice quality of life. You've got a lot of beaches, a lot of history, a lot of culture, and also quite a large international community. So it's fairly easy to meet people from different countries, especially the US and Canada. So if you don't speak Portuguese just yet and you're looking for other people who speak English, you can find that in a lot of different places there. There's a lot of retired Americans living down in the beaches of the Algarve, very beautiful down there. Of course, Lisbon is a very popular destination just for being the capital city, for all of the infrastructure there, for the international airport, really big among the crypto community, startup enthusiasts. And then you've got the Silver Coast beaches, also popular for retirees, up through Porto, Coimbra. One of the most popular ways to stay there is with either the digital nomad visa or the D7 visa, which is possible to get in a matter of just a few months. In seventh place, we have Norway with nearly a 500% increase in interest. This is another country that I had in my video on places to live after the election, mostly because it's such a safe and peaceful country with a strong social welfare system. If you don't mind about having some cold, dark weather in the winter and you're looking for a safe place with social equality, then Norway is a really good option. And the flip side of winter is that in the summer you get very long hours of sunshine, especially up in the north in the islands of Lofoten. Of course, throughout Norway you have a lot of nature, so this is a great place for you if you love outdoor activities and also water sports. But if you're not interested, you could always hang out in towns like Oslo and Bergen and just enjoy the coziness of living in Norway. Now, the cost of living is not too bad. I know Norway gets a reputation for being very expensive, but I found that the prices of groceries and just normal living costs were still a lot lower than the United States. Maybe not as low as places like Spain and Portugal and Greece, but still probably half the price of what I would be spending in the United States, and rent prices were quite moderate as well. A downside to Norway is that they don't have so many immigration options. They have a job seeker visa, they have a family reunification visa, they have a startup visa, but this is not one of those countries that has, digital nomad visas, retirement visas, golden visas. So it could be a little bit more complicated to be able to immigrate there long term. Near the bottom of our list, we have Canada, which saw a 400% increase in searches on election night. Canada is one of those go-to countries for US citizens because, of course, it is our neighbor to the north, and undoubtedly many people will move to Canada in the coming years. One of the downsides to living there, however, is the cold. So I had a client ask me this week, what is the least cold place I can move to in Canada? And that would be probably Vancouver, British Columbia area. One thing about Canada is that the government is imposing immigration quotas in the next year, so it might be a bit harder to go there than it was before, and this includes US citizens as well. But the good news is that with a US passport, if you have authorization to go to Canada, you can stay for up to 180 days per year, and I have had relocation clients who are able to successfully extend their tourist visas and stay for up to a year, and in some cases more, with the right documents and proof of financial solvency. One way to be able to stay in Canada, like the UK, is through a study permit, which could turn into a work permit after graduation. Canada also has a skilled worker visa and even visas for athletes. So if you are at the top of your field or at the top of a sport, that could be an interesting way to stay there as well. It was no surprise to see that the UK is a popular choice for Americans looking to move abroad. Nearly a 400% increase in searches from the US. Of course, the US and UK share a lot of cultural ties, a lot of economic ties, a lot of familial ties in some cases. Of course, it's English-speaking country and a place that many US citizens maybe have been there for vacation, feel comfortable there, and it's just a natural fit for US citizens looking to move. On the downside, the UK can have a bit of a higher cost of living, especially in London, one of the more expensive cities in Europe. The UK has a stronger currency with the British pound, and so in general, this is not a place that you're going to be able to save money if you're moving from the US. If anything, you'll probably break even or even spend a bit more. Also, the UK doesn't have the easiest immigration options. However, if you are still studying or you're thinking of going back to school, getting a study permit could be a really interesting option that could then lead to a work permit, depending on your plans after that. There are a lot of beautiful places to live in the UK, especially if you're looking for alternatives to living in London. You have the beaches out towards Cornwall, the beautiful nature and hiking in places like Wales, smaller cities in the north such as Manchester, where you can still commute to London in a couple of hours, or you can go up into Scotland and the Scottish Isles and have a completely different experience there. In 10th place, we had Costa Rica, so the first Latin American country on our list so far with a 300% increase in searches. I also recommended Costa Rica as a place to move after the election because it's generally safe and peaceful. It has a moderate cost of living and it has just a nice tropical lifestyle. So if you're looking for a laid-back lifestyle, you want to live on the beach or you want to live in the mountains where you can get that sweet spot for a very comfortable climate where the temperatures don't really go over 75 or 80 degrees Fahrenheit, then that is possible in Costa Rica as well. There are already a lot of US citizens living there, over 120,000. So it's a place that shares a lot of cultural similarities with the United States. The US culture is very integrated there. You can find a lot of the chain stores that you're familiar with, from Applebee's and Chili's to P.F. Chang's and Walmart and Sam's Club. It's also very close to the United States, so you can fly back to your home state in just a few hours. And another country I was surprised not to see on this list, but just missed out, is Mexico, south of the border, in 11th place. But a benefit of going to a place like Costa Rica or Mexico as a US citizen is that you get up to 180 days to stay on your passport. And unlike Canada, you can leave the country and renew that. There are also a lot of flexible residency options, whether you're thinking of going to Costa Rica or Mexico. In Costa Rica, you have a retiree visa, you have an investor visa, you have a rentista visa if you can support yourself financially. There's also the digital nomad visa. And then in Mexico, there's a pretty straightforward path to temporary residency, which can then turn into permanent residency after that. So let me know if you've been searching for how to move to any of these countries. Subscribe for more videos about living abroad and watch these videos next for more of the best and easiest places for US citizens to move abroad.